Hey, visionaries! You are now tuned in to the Starts with a Vision podcast, where everything you do in life starts with a vision. If your vision is clear or foggy, you are in the right place. It's time to go take what's yours, because there's a vision only you can see, and a dream only you can dream. And now, your host, Mr. Starts with a Vision.
What up, everybody? It's Isaiah Fowler, aka Mr. SWAV. Mr. Starts with the Vision. And today, I have a lot of information for you. I have someone who's going to be talking about planning events, for you as an entrepreneur, right? A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we say we want to do an event, we want to do this conference, this whatever it is. But I have somebody today who is a beast when it comes to event planning, coordinating, getting sponsors, reaching out to people, everything that it takes to run an event successfully and make it top notch. So today's guest is Bola Ibidapo. She is based in Dallas, and she is doing some amazing things on the nonprofit side of things as well. So I'm not going to hold you up, but if you want to do an event for your company, for your business, a conference, whatever it is, listen to this episode in its entirety 2, 3, 4 times if you have to, because there's so much knowledge in this show. What's going on, everybody? It is Mr. Starts with a Vision, Isaiah Fowler, a.k.a. Mr. SWAV. And you already know we got somebody else on the podcast today, and we talking about vision. We talking about entrepreneurship. We talking about nonprofits. We talking about event coordinating. So I have an amazing guest today. Very unique. I have Miss Bola Ibidapo. How you doing today? I'm
doing really well. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you for taking the time out and making this happen, because I know everybody out here is busy. We're busy changing the world one person at a time.
Exactly. That's the motto. That's the goal.
Yeah. So you like another nonprofit queen out here, huh?
Well, I try to be. My end goal, like you said, I want to change the world. Like, that's what I always put. I would say change the world or die trying. If it's through that, then that's the goal.
Right. Why do you want to change the world?
Because, I truly believe that we've been placed on this earth for a bigger purpose than us. I just feel as though living for yourself, that gets so boring. Like, where's the end goal in that? But when you can impact other people, you're leaving a legacy. That's going to be a ripple effect. That's going to be something that's going to live way beyond you, Right. My hope is that when I leave this earth, someone's going to say, man, Bola said this, and it just changed my whole way of thinking, the way I act, the way I think, the way I talk. So that's why that's the main goal.
Got you. And that makes perfect sense. And I think that, honestly, a lot more people should be striving for that. But everybody matures and grows differently. So, we all reach that point at different points in our lives, if we reach it.
Right. And we all have the capability to, we all have some type of talent, trade, or whichever, that eventually, if you do it right, you're going to impact someone positively.
Right. And just the goal is to never play small and impact people on the biggest, level and capacity as possible.
Right, exactly.
Right. So you said you're going to do it through helping the youth and doing it through nonprofits right now. So let us know, about your nonprofits, and then I really, really want to dive into, all the events you've been doing and stuff like that.
Sure thing. Yes, I love the children. I love the baby.
Say that again. You love the what?
I love the children. The children. I do. So a lot of my endeavors and focuses really do end up circling back with youth. One of my nonprofits I co-founded in August 2016 with my partner Brandon Miller. We came together in the light of Passport Awareness Month, which is actually September, if you didn't know, is Passport Awareness Month. So we celebrated 1 year already, and we've been impacted by our experiences with travel. Our peers and our friends have also been impacted with travel. I grew up with immigrant parents, so I've always been, surrounded by the idea of go and explore, go and explore, go and explore. So, if a young person could have that same opportunity, who knows what type of leadership skills that develop, what experiences will change them to end up being these world changers that we're talking about. So, To Fly Foundation, like I said, was founded last year in August, and our whole main goal and purpose is to equip our youth, engage our peers, and cultivate a passion for travel. That's kind of our motto. And we raise and grant funds that provide travel-related resources for youth. So since last year, we've been able to help provide over 70 passports for youth. And we've been working alongside with a philanthropy partner called the Harley Home Initiative. And we've been pushing towards our goal of 100 passports. And we're just really excited where that's grown, and the organizations that we're going to be able to help, and so that we can continue to open up the opportunity of travel to students that maybe can't readily afford it. So that's one of my heartstrings. And my other one is called the Queen Talk, and that is a leadership and entrepreneurial development initiative for young girls. So I really work hand in hand with a lot of middle school and high school girls, and it's all about equipping them with leadership. And I, really was in middle school when someone looked at me and called me a leader, but not just called me a leader, gave me tools, gave me encouragement, gave me motivations, and most importantly, gave me opportunities to create and to build. And there's a whole story behind the name itself, the Queen Talk, but really what it is, I ask girls, when you hear the word queen, what do you think about? They'll say things like independent, she's courageous, she's fearless. Some people might put Beyonce. I'm like, that's great. I understand why you would put that. That's great. But I tell them, all these traits that you're listing, you understand that you're also describing a leader. So my hope is that when we have this talk, girls will be encouraged to call themselves queens, but they understand we're not talking about, yes, queen, slay, queen, that's great, but we're talking about the responsibilities of a leader. Right. So therefore, calling yourself a queen, you're calling yourself a leader, and encouraging girls to build their own empire. And that empire is where their passion and their talent and their discipline kind of collide. So, if a girl is like, hey, I want to write a book, that's your empire. Writing is your empire, and giving them the tools to build that empire. Right.
And them knowing and embodying the fact that a queen is a leader and not just, a pretty girl on Instagram or something like that.
Exactly. Because, there's awesome organizations out there that really touch on body positivity and, encouragement in regards to, how girls accept themselves physically. But I really want to focus on leadership development, because I have seen young people, both male and female, create awesome things while they're young. And I'm just like, man, if we can equip them at an age now, like, who imagine, where they'll be in 10 years. You don't have to, and this is what I always tell them, you don't have to wait until you go to college or you graduate college or you get your first job to create things. Like, you have every capability to start your own business right now. You have every capability to write and launch your own book, or to code, the next big game, or, research, cure for cancer. Everyone wants to find a cure for cancer. You could be it. So that's my encouragement with the whole building your own empire. We're going to start right now.
Got you. At this age. And also, I think that's important because of the age, it's so age sensitive because the younger you get them, the more you can mold them.
Exactly.
Right.
And there's too many other things right now that are trying to mold them in a different direction. And
100%.
my hope is, at the end of the day, a lot of students will make their decision. They have the voices of their parents. They have the voices of their teachers. They have the voice of their peers, and they could be both good or bad. My hope is just to be another voice of positivity, encouragement.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that's amazing, honestly. And why are you so passionate about the youth? Why does everything you do usually point back to the youth? Like, what happened in your life that made you kind of like point back to that?
Sure. I think, like I said, really it was truly in middle school. Well, no, I'll even back up. I've always been a busybody. I always loved being around people. I always loved being kind of in some type of sense of leadership, not as, on some type of power, trip, but I just always found myself being in some type of capacity of leadership. I remember, and this might sound just so silly, but I remember in 8th grade, it was picture day, and I just had a meltdown because I had 8 yearbook pictures I had to be a part of, and I just didn't know how I was going to make all of them. I was cheerleading captain. I was on the basketball team. I was choir president. I was in a Spanish-speaking club. I was in some mock trial. I was student council president, but I've always been a busybody. I think, sometimes can be for good or bad sometimes, but I always love to be in leadership. And I really think too, 8th grade was when I started to develop my own personal walk and faith, and had a really heavy involvement in my youth group and within my church. And I feel as though as I grew in my faith, I grew in my leadership. I was able to create things within, my church, such as a toy store. And, I collected toys, and then I turned my youth group center into a toy store. And then families got to come in and shop, and then we gift wrapped it. To me, I was just having fun. I wasn't thinking, I'm, changing the world. I knew I was making people feel good, but, I didn't realize those opportunities I had were building my leadership development, were teaching me how to fundraise, were teaching me how to plan an event to, help other people. And, I really feel as though someone hadn't looked at me and, when I was that young and say, no, Bola, you're a leader, and throughout middle school and high school, same thing. I took on leadership positions. I was, the first Black homecoming queen in my school, and I think that was all had to do with someone believing me. And then I eventually believed that in myself. And I just wanted to be a good example to my friends and to my peers. And I hope to continue to do that now that, I'm older.
Right.
And there's probably another little girl or a dude right behind me that needs to hear the same words.
Right. And you're setting the example for them.
I hope so. That's the goal. I hope so. I hope I'm doing all right.
No, I believe you are. So it sounds like you were overachieving a little bit.
I was a high school hero. I was. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Because with all them, because with everything that you said, choir, not choir, but the band, and all those.
Oh, no choir. I was definitely in choir.
You said band, right? Or you played an instrument.
No, I wish I could. No, I've always been in choir my whole life.
Okay.
But if there's any drum people out there wanting to teach me, I've been wanting to learn how to play the drums.
How about the
bass.
guitar?
Yes, I have a little. No, I love the bass. It just, it has that soul, that funk,
Right.
So I prefer that, but guitar too. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think guitar is pretty smooth, but that I think that just is interesting because, and it also goes to with kind of like who you are, at this current day, because some of the things that you've done, like when we talked to Brandon about, he mentioned you a little bit in what you did just in terms of the event in Austin, right? We talked about that and just getting the partnership and stuff like that and the sponsorship.
Yes.
He said you did that whole thing. And I'm like, yo, like y'all got Tom's to sponsor an event? Like that's
Barely.
major. You know what I mean? And for you to be able to kind of be responsible for that, I think that shows a big like leadership, role for you, So you guys have the Black Burdell coming up, and that's part of the Two Fly nonprofit. So you've done a lot of events as well. So like, how did you start planning events, and what kind of events were they? Was it conferences? Was it seminars, workshops, or what?
Sorry, and so we're talking about Two Fly, starting with Two Fly.
Well, really, whenever you started like doing events, pretty much.
Oh, doing events. Okay. Man, I'm sorry. Can I ask another question?
No, of course.
Okay, sorry. So we're talking about just me in general, or like me currently when we're talking about.
Oh, like, like pretty much like when you started, when we were talking earlier and you were like, yeah, I've done like 20 events, right? So like, how did you even start like taking the responsibility to start planning these events?
Okay. Shoot. So funny because now that I think about it and the more I'm talking out loud, I never thought of myself as an event planner ever. Mm-hmm. But I've realized if there's a purpose behind something, I will plan it. And now that we're even talking about, especially when we're talking about events that revolve around fundraising, I'm thinking back when I was about to graduate high school and I wanted to fundraise to go on a mission trip to China, right? And I had no way of making this money. And now the thing about every mission trip or summer camp I wanted to go to, I found some way to raise that money. I was either washing cars or something. But I think my first fundraising event that I can think of, I held this little spa day in my living room. And the idea literally came to me in the middle of my head. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to invite women over and we're going to have a spa day. And I'm going to get my friends to paint people's toes. And I'm going to raise this money for China. And so I think, that was the first time. But fast forward to now, right? Definitely doing things on a bigger scale with fundraising. So I mentioned the Two Fly Foundation. And since August 2016, we've been able to host 9 fundraising events. And actually more than that, we've been able to raise funds in over 9 cities. But total, we probably had about 11 and 12 different events over the past year. And, a lot of that goes back to one, casting vision. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do, you have to cast vision. People won't come, people won't pour into it, whatever that vision may be, right? Our vision is that we want to create a space that engage our peers and we have a really great and fun time. But at the end of the day, we're making an impact. So we've been able to plan events in Houston, and we've had a whole Dallas week in LA, in Chicago, and Austin. We'll have an event in our 10th city within our tour, Washington, D.C., at the end of this month on Sunday, September 24th. And we're so excited because this will probably be one of our biggest fundraising events. And honestly, if you want to talk about me just taking on, this task of building, these events, strategically building these events, it just all started with the purpose, right? I didn't even think about, we have to plan this event and we got to find the venue and we have to find vendors and we have to whichever. It was just at the end of the day, what do we need to do so that we can get these funds for passports for youth, right? And how can we do it in a creative and fresh way? And sometimes it is a lot of no's. And I'm really grateful for, you know, having this responsibility and having, along with, you know, Brandon, he, you know, that's so great that he bragged on me, but without a team, I really can't, you know, do much. But it's a lot of no's and rejections. And it has really helped me with, it's okay with rejections, you know, but I've also learned that it's not necessarily a no, but maybe later.
Right.
And I have no problem with asking people twice.
Right.
You know, I'll be like, okay, so not now, great. You know, I'll check back with you in 6 months or whichever.
Right.
But everything always worked out. I truly believe that if you have a purpose, it will all work out no matter what you're trying to plan.
What are some of the, like what's your process? And I know it varies, of course, but like when you're trying to, you know, get an event, what are all the things, all the moving pieces so that people listening, maybe they want to do this for their business, maybe they want to put together an event, you know, to grow their business, to bring people together, whatever it is, right? This is going to spark an idea.
Sure.
So, you know, what are things to think about and all the moving pieces that people maybe not be thinking about at first in terms of events and workshops and seminars and stuff like that?
Sure. I would say this. If you have someone in wherever location that you're trying to plan an event that is an advocate for you, that's the starting point. I have no problem, you know, sharing, you know, necessarily not failures, but learning points is, you know, when we try to, and it, you know, yes, we have a great purpose, right? Why wouldn't anyone want to support, you know, raising funds for passports for youth? If nobody knows you, where you're going, and you just plan on popping up, no one's going to come. Right. So if you don't have an advocate, if you don't have some type of collaboration with someone that is well known there, that knows the culture, that knows how people respond there, that can help you connect within networks wherever you're at, that it will be a failure. It doesn't matter how dope your venue is, how dope what advertisement is, whatever it may be. You have to first and foremost have a local advocate for you. And that will really go into, you know, open the doors to the next steps as far as finding a place to have your location that is connected to the audience that you are trying to reach, right? Maybe it's a place that people are familiar with and building a connection with them, because that'll eventually be a partnership when you want to return back in the future. And I'm definitely talking more so, you know, people that may have events in different cities, but even if you're local, it's going to be the same thing, right? If you move somewhere and you're trying to build your brand there, that's one thing I had to do with the Queen Talk even, not to bounce back from 2-5, but the same thing, you know, while 2-5 might be bouncing from different cities and cultivating, you know, our mission in different cities, you know, the Queen Talk is really based within Texas, but because I have advocates, that's how I've been able to grow my influence. I have teachers and coaches and people refer to me to speak to students, people that I've never met before, like, hey, someone told me that you took the time to build a workshop for their girls. I would love it if you could do the same thing. So advocates, first and foremost, finding a place where people, where that group or the target group that you have can connect to. And then 2, building advocates. So first you have to find your advocate. Then you got to build advocates. And one thing 2Fly does is that we do a kind of a grassroots plug-in, and we do this thing called Adopt a Passport Challenge. The cost of one passport is $135, right? That's really not as scary, you know, when you're probably asking for a large donation for a foundation. But if we can get a local business to agree, you know what, I'll support you, you know, and you're giving them some type of way to get buy-in, that creates local advocates for you. So they're going to be more willing to, one, probably tell their customers or or their networks about your organization. And then when you come back around and you want to build a bigger bridge with them, it's more accessible. So I think those would be my top three things. Find your advocate that's already based wherever you're trying to grow. Create a space where people are familiar, but maybe, put your own creative spin on it. And then 3, build advocates in some capacity.
I think that's absolute gold. That's some good stuff right there, seriously. Because, people, before you started talking, people may have been thinking about the venue and, the vendors and stuff, but you went a completely different route. But that's where it starts, is having that connection, having that plug, and they could kind of let you know how everything operates, and then, the vision and that culture can merge.
Yes, for sure. Because I'm telling you, if you have the right, and I truly believe this, it's not, I'm sure you've heard this, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And it's not even in the sense of creating relationships to, manipulate them for your betterment, but, you don't know everything. And when, if I've never in my life lived in Chicago, right? When we had our 2 Fly Chicago event in June, which was a huge success, it all had to do with because we had someone who was the hands and feet in Chicago that knew the people, that knew connections, that opened doors for us. If we had walked up in Chicago, it would have not been success as we did.
Right.
Or same thing with Austin, right? It starts with, even if it's one little small door. I've literally have had a small crack of door open for me, and it has opened up a world of connections and a world of, opportunities that, we're excited. I can't spill all now, but we're able to share regarding 2 Fly in the future. But
it's
all
some
because
stuff cooking, huh?
Yep. We definitely always.
Always got to be cooking, huh?
Always.
That's what's up. What about vendors and sponsors and stuff like that in terms of an event? Did all your events have sponsors? Did all your events have other vendors there? Were the event spaces donated to you or paid for, or what?
A lot of our events were sponsored in some type of capacity, right? Whether they're we like to say, a venue sponsor. So the venue, whether it was a lounge or a bar or whatever location that we agreed would allow us to come and use their space. We would consider them a sponsor, that they're donating their space and their time for our event. Sometimes majority of our events, our venue would agree to give some type of percentage to the cause. So there's that. And we would connect with awesome local DJs to kind of create the environment, and they're donating their time and they're donating their talents. We've had alcohol sponsorships, we've had, and then on top of that, then we'll have outside monetary donations from these local businesses that we're talking about that would agree to connect with us on some level. So yes, of course, this is our heart. I truly believe that, if you're starting up something, you have to put in your own resources and your own time. But if you do it right, you'll have people do it for you.
Right.
So venue sponsors are a huge goal. But then also our other collaborative sponsors, whether they're DJs, whether they're local small businesses, from photographers to food bakeries, and whichever.
Right. And that's what I wanted to say, because you're talking about so many different things that people may not have been thinking about, from the food to the photographers to a DJ, and it all depends on the type of event you want to do. But
exactly,
you are giving a lot of good information for people to think about if they are wanting to do an event, because I just started going on tour, and it's like a lot. So
Yes.
yeah, everything you're talking about, like I'm like, that's what I just learned. But I just took action. I had the idea, I came up with action instead of trying to plan everything. But now moving forward, I see what needs to be done. So now next year I may do it again, but I'm gonna be way more planned out. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's hard. Like, I love my team. Like I said, whether it's a Queen Talk or my team members, Brandon Miller, Brian Malaj. I have to give them a shout out every time I can because they keep me sane. But they know I am very detail oriented. I will go through, and maybe that's the woman in me. We can spot a speck on the wall that you would never see, but
absolutely,
those are usually where the devil really is in the details. There could be one small thing that could make your life so much easier if you had just thought about,
Right.
For example, we have to think about even though we have everything set up for our Two Fly fundraiser, wherever it may be, we could have the vendor, we could have the DJ set up, we could have the food set up, whatever. Okay. So how are we going to make it really easy for people to donate during the event? You'd be like, oh man, okay, we got to have this set up here. We have this set up here. Maybe we need to have this here, or maybe we need to build this platform here. Those are small details that can make your event, ordinary to extraordinary, or just okay to impactful. And at the end of the day, we need to make our event impactful. We don't want just people to come in and be like, oh, it was a dope time, which we hope you say it's a dope time, but was it impactful?
Right.
And if it's not impactful at the end of the day, then we didn't do our job, or we missed a really important detail that could have made it impactful.
Right. Like, did you walk away, like, thinking about it besides a good time?
Exactly.
Right. Did you continue to think about the cause that it was actually for?
Exactly.
Got you.
Because it's an ongoing thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like I said, at the end of the day, we're building a legacy. Mm-hmm. We're building advocates too, and I think that's why, talking about the Two Fly Foundation, why we love our fundraising events that we do with our peers, because we love that we see that our peers are the ones that are helping us make a difference. Mm-hmm. We have awesome donors from every generation, from every type of business or whichever, and we love them. But we love it when we have our citywide events, because we see our peers getting into the meat of our vision and our mission. And most importantly, too, we have even, like we said, a huge part of our mission is cultivating travelers. We've had our own peers come into our events and be like, man, I don't even have my passport.
Right.
And then 2 months later, they come back, hey, I want y'all to know I applied for my passport.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We can't just assume, we're definitely impacting our youth, but we want to also make an impact on anyone that any type of way touches Two Fly. Same thing with the Queen Talk. I've had people or parents sit in whenever I've done my leadership workshops and things, and I'm like, man, I never thought that these girls were going through this. I never knew how to discuss, this idea of issues or leadership with these young girls. Man, I need to evaluate my own self. I needed a Queen Talk,
Right.
So at the end of the day, we're making an impact to anyone deep. That comes in contact.
Right. That's deep right there. And I really think this is, it's amazing. I had told Brandon, I said it's dope, just the angle that you guys are coming from with the Two Fly. And I think that it's dope what, your part is, and also what you're doing with Queen Talk, because it's just different, and then we're younger. So it's coming off different from the jump just because you're younger,
Right.
So
right.
It's amazing. And I really like it. And, just nothing but respect to you and what you're doing.
Thank you. Same to you for, giving us an opportunity to share, what we're doing and, what God's called us to do, what we're building, what we're creating. And, helping build a larger network for all of us to connect.
100%. Like you say, legacy.
Exactly.
That's all it's about, legacy. What are you going to be remembered for or as by?
Absolutely.
And that's pretty much it. So where can people find out more about you, Miss Bola, and what else you're doing?
Anyone, the world, if you are interested in connecting with me personally, my Instagram page is Bo Dapo. That's actually my first name and my last name combined. I made it up in college. Really creative. But B as in boy, O, D as in dog, A, P as in Paul, O, Bo Dapo. Email is contact@bolaibidapo@gmail.com. If you want to learn more about Two Fly Foundation and how we're helping create world leaders and travelers, you can visit TooFly, T-O-O Fly Fundraiser.com. Email us at twoflyfundraiser@gmail.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook, Queen Talk, exactly how it's spelled, the Queen Talk, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the Queen Talk @gmail.com.
Got you. Well, that's written down, and it'll be in the show notes as well on the website. So if you're listening and you want to get in contact with Bola, then definitely hit her up. Whatever your preferred platform is, and I'm pretty sure she would love to hear from you, because we all love to hear from people when we do these types of interviews and things like that. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you so much, Bola, for your time, for your energy, for your information, and for your knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
It's an honor.
It sure was. So everybody listening, hit her up. Apply this information to your life if you want to do an event or whatever it may be. And we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Starts with a Vision podcast. Come get your vision clear at www.startswithavision.com. See you there.